Smiles emerged on their faces. Finally they could take a good rest. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were preparing to go upstairs, a figure appeared on the second floor. The figure looked like it had seen ghost when it noticed Bailey Hongzhuang, and it quickly said, "How come you are here?" The faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others was also unnatural. Enemies truly met on a narrow road. That phrase was truly accurate. They had only just finished their fight with Beihai College and now they met them again. This was too coincidental, wasn't it? Is your eyes working? We are obviously at the inn to rest, who would have known you were here? Xia Jiqing sneered. I see, you deliberately picked our inn to stay in. Lu Jingqi's face was blue. From she was small and until now, she had never been as humiliated as she was today, and now Xia Jiqing and the others had followed them. Wasn't this the same as deliberately embarrassing her? You think too much, we aren't interested in you. Xia Jiqing looked at Lu Jingqi with disdain. This Lu Jingqi is really not too smart. We have rented this place, go somewhere else to rest. While Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing were talking, Xiao Lanmei and the others also came out from their rooms. As they saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, their faces changed slightly. What was the situation? The shopkeeper did not tell us you had rented the entire place. If you are unwilling to live with us, you can move out directly. Zhang Yunfeng said coldly. The cold face of Gong Shaoqing was also showing some impatience. Take us to the rooms. The students of Beihai College were masters at causing trouble, but he had no intention of continuing to fight with them right now. No matter how much they argue, there is no point. It is better to go back and rest and then wait until Lingyin College. It will not be too late to move against them then. The shopkeeper's face was slightly awkward. He thought he was lucky to get 2 big groups of customers today, never would he have thought that they were fighting. Yes, the shopkeeper immediately walked away, closely followed by Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. However, before he got far, Lu Jingqi blocked the road of the shopkeeper. I told you we have booked this in today, you can go elsewhere. Shui Haolang even took out a purse and placed it in the hands of the shopkeeper. Do you understand? We have booked this in, you drive them out. Seeing the situation, the shopkeeper was also in a dilemma. Dear guests, you never mentioned this before, it is a problem to do so now. It is obvious that neither of these 2 teams are ordinary people. If he accidentally offended someone, it would be him who was unfortunate. Shui Haolang, do you only know this one trick? I am rich, what can you do about it? Shui Haolang directly said with a domineering voice filled with anger. Money in this world was extremely important. In this kind of situation it was normal to fight with money, otherwise how should they fight? Lu Jingqi's face was also smiling after hearing Shui Haolang's words. This was domineering, and they were rich. There was a bit of impatience in the eyes of Xiao Lanmei. There was no reason to waste time on fighting with each others, and he couldn't help but say, it's just one night, even if they live in the same inn, so what? From the previous restaurant, this was the nearest inn. Because of this, he did not think that the Kanglin College special enrollment students had followed them intentionally. Also, their mentors are close, so there should be no problems. However, Lu Jingqi was not agreeing. How can we? This time they have fought us, if we give way, where will the face of Beihai College go? There is some dissatisfaction in the heart of Lu Jingqi. She felt that Xiao Lanmei was obsessed with Bailey Hongzhuang, and because of this he would allow them to stay in the inn. Because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not be allowed to stay. Shui Haolang, drive them out. Hearing what Lu Jingqi said, Xiao Lanmei looked at her indifferently. He was too lazy to deal with it and he directly returned to his room. Obviously he did not plan on wasting any time on this matter. Shui Haolang nodded, and another purse appeared in his hand. I will pay double, just drive them out. The shopkeeper looked at Shui Haolang and Bailey Hongzhuang in a distressed way. This kind of situation was really making it impossible for him to decide. If he had known of this before, he would rather have done no business today and not seen this situation happening. You should not be too overbearing, this is just a small business with ordinary people, don't be too much. Shui Hailong seemed to have not heard what he said and directly declared, I'll pay triple. Xia Jiqing and the others looked at Shui Haolang's behavior as a rich young master, and were speechless. Was he trying to kill them with money? Hongzhuang, do we change the inn? Zhan Yunfeng could not help but ask. Shui Haolang and the Oths are stuck there, it would be hard for them to enter any time soon, and staying here is just causing trouble for the shopkeeper. Listening to Zhan Yunfeng's words, the expressions of Su Haolang and Lu Jingqi showed smugness, they just wanted to let the other side know that they could be forced into a retreat. Now they lost at the restaurant, they could turn it around at the inn. The faces of Bai Junyu and the others were not looking too good, when they encountered a person with such a rich boy attitude they could only be speechless. In fact, all of them were rich, but they were not wasteful. Also, if they were going to compete with Shui Haolang in money, it would never end and they would take out money constantly. However, then Bailey Hongzhuang did something that shocked them all. A purse appeared in his hands and she said casually, "Shopkeeper, we are buying this inn." When the words came out, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. Xia Jiqing and the others had hard to describe expressions on their faces that hardly concealed their horror. Too domineering. This is really being domineering. What was Shui Haolang doing before? Bailey Hongzhuang directly bought the entire inn. Lu Qinyue, Dong Fangyu, and Gong Shaoqing looked at one another. In fact, when they had first gone to the Luoyun mountain range they had already seen this side of Bailey Hongzhuang. Returning qi pills were a precious remedy, but Bailey Hongzhuang had so many of them. In comparison, Shui Haolang's current savings were truly nothing. Buying this inn was nothing, even if she wanted to buy several inns, it'd be nothing. Bailey Hongzhuang directly bought the inn, only for the purpose of shutting them up. Shui Haolang and Lu Jingqi were also stunned, they did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would make such a move. This woman, she shouldn't be that crazy. They just wanted to stay here for one night, but she actually bought the inn. As a result, those who were screaming before were suddenly quiet, how could this be comfortable? Although Shui Haolang had money, to directly buy the inn, it was too wasteful. Suddenly Shui Haolang's gaze landed on the purse that the shopkeeper was holding, the purse was so small it could only contain a few gold coins. Wasn't it a joke to buy an inn with such a small purse? This was the Qing dynasty, and this was Longguang town as a border town. There were many trades and merchants here every day. The price of this inn ought to be even more expensive than normal inns. If you want to buy an inn for a few gold coins, it is impossible. With that little money you want to buy an inn? It is impossible, don't joke. Shui Haolang sneered. Hearing the words, Lu Jingqi's gaze also landed on the purse and she could not help but laugh. She is a country bumpkin. To buy an inn with that few gold coins, she is a joke. Bailey Hongzhuang's next words stunned Lu Jingqi. Before actually understanding the situation, I advise you to not be too proud. Otherwise the joke will be you. Compared to the customers of the Beihai College, the students from Kanglin College are calm. They have absolute trust in Bailey Hongzhuang. They already understood her personality, it would be impossible to make such a mistake. Shopkeeper, open and see, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. The shopkeeper looked worriedly at Bailey Hongzhuang. Although there is a contradiction between the two teams, Bailey Hongzhuang has left a good impression on him. After all, they did not embarrass themselves or make troubles, so he did not want her to become a joke. However, as he opened the purse, a bit of purple could be seen and the worry in his eyes disappeared in an instant. Purple gold coins. The shopkeeper smiled. Shui Haolang and Lu Jingqi were dumbfounded. They would never have guessed that the purse that Bailey Hongzhuang handed over contained purple gold coins. No wonder it looked small, it turned out to be so amazing. During this time, the expressions of both of them turned very ugly. Looking back at what they had just said, this was a slap to their faces. The more proud they were before, the more embarrassed they were now. Haha, you too. It ended up being you who were the joke. Xia Jiqing naturally did not mind taunting them. This kind of people deserved it. You. Lu Jingqi was hopping mad. This Xia Jiqing made her more and more unhappy, but so far she had never gained the upper hand. It was truly driving her mad. What about me? Xia Jiqing shook her head. So unfortunate to be the subject of her hate. Now we own this inn, you can go. You have yet to buy it. The shopkeeper hasn't said he'll sell it. Lu Jingqi looked at the shopkeeper. Previously the shopkeeper was embarrassed and stuck between them. It was not sure that he would sell the inn now. At this time, Bailey Hongzhuang said a few things to the shopkeeper, and once again everyone turned stunned. Shopkeeper, I only want to buy this inn for a day. Tomorrow it will once again be yours. At this time the cultivators from Beihai College were petrified. So much money was simply too much to buy this inn normally, but now it is only to buy the inn for a day. Can't you be less wasteful? Even if you have money, don't you get this point? This was simply to make life hard for them. Shui Haolang was also unable to speak at this moment. How could he compare? Although he was very lavish every day, but this kind of money could be used to buy cultivation resources, so if he returned home and his old man knew how he had spent his money, would he not be killed by his old man? The shopkeeper was no longer hesitant. He quickly said, "Girl, this inn is yours today. I will tell them to pack up immediately." The next moment, the shopkeeper no longer observed the expressions of Shui Haolang and the others. He directly gave back the money he had gained from Shui Haolang, and they had no other option than to go and pack up their things. In this regard, Lu Jingqi could say nothing. When faced with such a good deal, only idiots would not take it. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others slowly went forward, no longer looking at Lu Jingqi and the others. Winners and losers had already been determined. Xia Jiqing sneered at Lu Jingqi, "Go on." If it wasn't because of Lu Jingqi seeking trouble, they would be able to stay here now, but they had to go the hard way. However, Xia Jiqing did not need Bailey Hongzhuang to make a move. They had been driven out and this was a real shame for them. After walking towards their rooms, Bai Junyu's face was still unable to hide his emotions. Hongzhuang is simply too domineering. Xia Jiqing raised her eyebrow. Hongzhuang has always been domineering, haha. But using this much money, isn't it too wasteful? Lu Qinyue's eyebrows were slightly wrinkled and felt it was a pity and a waste. Hearing this, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. This time it was truly refreshing for them. However, the one to suffer the biggest loss was Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing everyone's eyes, she could not help but wave her hand. "Don't worry, this is really nothing." Although she spent money, she also made a fortune. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her room, and Little Black and Little White smugly appeared in front of her. They shook their claws and offered up the treasure they had found. "Master, do we get a reward?" Seeing Little White and Little Black waving their claws, Bailey Hongzhuang saw 2 qiankuan bags. One belonged to Shui Haolang, the other belonged to Lu Jingqi. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "I'll prepare a big meal for you, eat all you want. Master is the best." The faces of Little Black and Little White were filled with excitement. These two idiots Shui Haolang and Lu Jingqi were so angry that they never noticed that their qiankuan bags had disappeared. Later on they would become hopping mad, haha. Bailey Hongzhuang opened Shui Haolang's qiankuan bag and saw a pile of gold coins, which instantly made her eyes brighten. Shui Haolang had not lied. He was indeed very rich, but now all his money had fallen into the hands on Bailey Hongzhuang. It seems that Shui Haolang's family still understand that money makes the world go around. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile. She had always thought that with money it's always the more the better. She would never say no thank you to more money. But this guy isn't as strong as Master. Under the promise of a big meal, Little Black could not help but flatter her. Truth was that there were really so much money within Shui Haolang's qiankuan bag, but that guy was just not as domineering as Bailey Hongzhuang. Even though Xue Haolang spent a lot of money every day, but if the price was too high, he could not help but chicken out. Putting away the 2 qiankuan bags, Bailey Hongzhuang was ready to go out and buy some food that the beasts could eat in the chaos ring. After all, she promised them a big meal, and the amount of food these 2 foodies, Little Black and Little White, could eat, it was simply amazing. Lu Jingqi and the others reluctantly left the inn. They felt as if they had really lost face today, but they could do nothing about it. There was a lot of people in the world who were good at spending money, but there were very few people who would buy an inn in such a way. When thinking about this white-dressed woman, everyone is feeling immensely helpless. They couldn't find even the slightest weakness. Whether it was appearance, strength, or background, it all seemed to be good, which really gave them unspeakable frustrations. Xiao Lanmei left the inn, and went to another. When it came to it, during the tournament all that mattered was strength and nothing else. However, this white-dressed woman had really made him interested. Such a perfect woman, only a few men would be uninterested in her. Xue Haolang, do you know the specific information of these cultivators from Kanglan College? Xiao Lanmei asked. Hearing the question, Xue Haolang shook his head. Although he liked to inquire about news, he never put the Kanglan College's special enrollment students into his eyes, so he had never looked for their information. It seemed that they really made a mistake. If they had some sort of previous understanding about them, they would not have ended up in this kind of situation. When the cultivators of Beihai College reached the second inn, Xue Haolang was ready to pay when his eyes suddenly turned shocked and his expression ugly. His hands patted his body and his face became more and more pale. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Xue Haolang, what are you doing? Lu Jingqi was impatient. What had happened before had already made her unhappy, now she just wanted to rest, but even this was delayed by Xue Haolang. My qiankuan bag is gone. Xue Haolang exclaimed. There was a lot of treasures inside his qiankuan bag. When it was lost, the loss would simply be too great. When Xue Haolang spoke, the expressions of the others changed slightly. Check again, are you sure you did not lose it when you played with it before? Xue Haolang shook his head, impossible. I had the qiankuan bag with me when I left the inn as I put the gold coins into it as we left. He had always protected his qiankuan bag. Even a thief couldn't steal it from him, and now it was gone. Lu Jingqi did not care about what Xue Haolang was saying, she just wanted to rest quickly and thus she reached out for her own qiankuan bag. It was just that when she touched where the qiankuan bag was supposed to be, it was empty. Ah! Why did my qiankuan bag disappear? Lu Jingqi suddenly said in a hurry, it must have been stolen by the students of Kanglan College. Lu Jinglin's face was also showing her worry and anger, let us go find and confront them. Lu Jingqi nodded her head, it must be them. Otherwise, the qiankuan bag can't be lost just like that. Xiao Lanmei looked at Lu Jingqi and the others indifferently. He then took out some coins and paid for their rooms before he said, you have no proof. Even if you go, you can only argue with them. As soon as his voice had fallen, Xiao Lanmei paid no more attention to the others and directly headed towards the room on the second floor. He never liked trouble, but he had not stopped Lu Jingqi from creating trouble before. Even so, he did not want to continue accompanying them like this. When she saw the move of Xiao Lanmei, Lu Jingqi's face became difficult to look at. It was obvious that he was not going to pay any attention to them anymore. Big sister. Lu Jingqi angrily cried out, I can't swallow this breath. Lu Jinglin's expression showed a strong helplessness. Jingqi, we can only endure. If Xiao Lanmei went forward, they might have a chance, but he already indicated that he was not going to participate. They had no chance at all. And even if they went there, they might not even be a match for the white-dressed woman. Lu Jingqi understood the meaning of Lu Jinglin, but this bad breath, she really couldn't swallow it. She was hopping mad. I will kill them. Otherwise I won't be unable to endure this hatred. Xue Haolang's face was blue, he had never before eaten such a big loss. He had brought a lot of his things with him on this trip to the Qing dynasty. There were many rare items in the imperial capital. He originally planned to buy some cultivation resources and rare objects in the imperial capital, now that he has lost it all and they have not even reached the capital yet. How could he accept this? As he thought about this, he truly hated the cultivators of Kanglan College. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba were standing together and looking at another two middle-aged men. The atmosphere was tense. I did not expect that in over 10 years, there is no progress at all in the Kanglan College's students. They even were so rude as to cut through a woman's dress. Their methods are truly shameful. One of the middle-aged men took the lead in speaking. He was wearing a silver robe, and his voice was filled with disdain. Mo Xinghai, your students already lost, be less arrogant. Lu Huaiyan did not care about the ridicule in the other's words. Cultivators only care about success or failure. The process was unimportant. We don't think this can be regarded as losing. You use some unconventional ways. Duan Yinggu coldly snorted. Hearing this, Fu Hongba sneered. Duan Yinggu, you are a mentor for many years at Beihai College. Nothing has changed at all. We used unconventional ways to win. Well, at least our students did not bully the civilians. I don't know how much better your students are, but their character sure is poor. Fu Hongba's mouth curled into a smirk as he looked at the other two teachers. Listening to Fu Hongba's words, the expressions on Duan Yinggu and Mo Xinghai turned ugly. They were angry in their heats. They had not expected the students of the two colleges to meet here, but they were all watching the scene from a distance. They had not stopped it before, because they too wanted to see who would emerge victorious when the colleges collided. They were always very confident, and they were sure that the winner would be the students from Beihai College. They would never have thought that the results turned out to be so different from their thoughts. The students from Kanglan College actually suppressed them. They also understood that although the method that Xia Jiqing used was rather underhanded, Bailey Hongzhuang had really defeated Lu Jinglin and the others had not been defeated either. Lu Huaiyan smiled slightly as he looked at Fu Hongba. Fu Hongba never spoke much, but when he did he completely rendered others speechless. Today was not a part of the tournament. When we reach Lingyin College, your pride will be a joke. Duan Yinggu sneered, no longer paying attention to Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba. Instead he directly left together with Mo Xinghai. They went to see their students, because today's actions had truly left them with no face left. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba looked at each other and saw that their faces were both filled with happy smiles. These students and mentors of Beihai College were a bit too proud. They could not help but feel that their own students were much better. Those little guys really brought us some honor today, Lu Huaiyan smiled. Duan Yinggu is already mad. I am afraid he must have rushed to scold his students. Lu Huaiyan raised an eyebrow. Do you want to go visit our students now? Fu Hongba thought for a moment. Let them grow up on their own. Let's go to see the vice principal. They were not useful to Gong Shaoqing and the others right now. Should they just go there for the sake of praising them? Hearing this, Lu Huaiyan nodded his head. Okay, the vice principal must have waited for us for a while. The night slowly descended on the city and Bailey Hongzhuang was standing at the window looking out on the unusually lively night view of Langguang town. There was a faint smile on her lips. In the time she has been gone, many things has become different, but the scene in front of her with the bustling atmosphere did not change at all. Master, let's go. Little Black and Little White came out. They had been waiting for their boss to treat them to a delicious meal. Knowing that the two little guys could no longer wait, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded his head, sure. Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the inn. Xia Jiqing and the others had not rested for so many days already and were tired. All they wanted to do was take a rest. Because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang decided to go on her own. She was just going to buy something. It would not take too long for her to come back. Walking on the street, although it was already night, the scene was much more lively than it was during daytime. The night scene even made her slightly sentimental. Little Black and Little White was asking for a lot of things, and whenever they made a request, Bailey Hongzhuang bought them all the things they wanted. Even Baisher was unable to refrain from eating. Today's harvest was quite good, and Bailey Hongzhuang felt like she should reward them. Soon Bailey Hongzhuang made it to the marketplace of Langguang town. Just standing on outside the market, Bailey Hongzhuang could hear the hustle and bustle coming from inside, and could not help but feel attracted to it. The marketplace was the most lively place in every city, and most of the things sold here were relate to cultivation. Although it was mainly ordinary cultivation resources you could find at the marketplace, if you found something rare, you couldn't help but feel very lucky and fulfilled. As Bailey Hongzhuang entered the marketplace, everyone who saw her had a fascinated gleam in their eyes. Even if they had seen beautiful women before, they had never seen someone as beautiful as Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the gazes of everyone, the eyebrows of Bailey Hongzhuang wrinkled slightly. She had entered the market on a whim. Originally she had not intended to come here. She sighed to herself, reminding herself that in the future when entering such places, she ought to wear a black cloak so that she would not attract unnecessary troubles. Such a good-looking girl, I have never seen someone looking this stunning before. This girl is a student of Kanglin College. I advise you to not cause trouble, otherwise you won't know how you died. There were many people in the crowd who had seen her earlier. The act outside the restaurant earlier was enough to make her famous in all of Langguang town. Hearing what the person said, the man snorted, "You said this girl is a girl of the Kanglin College? Aside from a student from one of the 3 colleges, how many girls can have such a temperament?" The person who spoke could not help but snort at the man before he continued to focus on his own stall. The man who had originally had some underhanded ideas in his heart also gave up. The cultivators from the Kanglin College were not normal people. He could not afford to offend them. He might make a big mistake, and he did not want to die young. It was not just him, everyone who had been standing around felt a chill in their hearts after listening to the words. Seeing that the situation eased up, Bailey Hongzhuang was also relieved. It seemed as if the big fight in the afternoon had some benefits. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the different stalls while walking, but went straight towards the exit. There was nothing that caught her interest. Even so, she did not feel disappointed. After all, most of the things in the marketplaces were used by ordinary cultivators. The real treasures had already been sold at a high price, so they are hard to find. However, just as she was about to leave, her eyes fell on a stall. In the light of sight was a black parchment roll randomly placed on the stall. The parchment roll looked ordinary, but she could feel some energy fluctuations with her strong spiritual sense. Her spiritual strength was very outstanding amongst cultivators. The fluctuations of this scroll was very small. If her strength was not high enough she would never have noticed. Bailey Hongzhuang stood in front of the stall and looked at the things that was placed upon it. There were some herbs, demon crystals and weapons, but Bailey Hongzhuang was not lacking any of these. In addition there were some unknown small things of no use, and the parchment roll was placed together with them. Baisher's gaze fell on the demon crystal. It walked all the way towards the demon crystal, causing the others to stop and look at it. "Girl, what do you want to buy?" The owner was a middle-aged man. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was in front of his stall, he could not help but ask. Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to answer, Baisher jumped onto the stall and the 2 claws held onto the demon core. Seeing Baisher's actions, the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang lit up slightly. This little guy understood her thoughts. Bailey Hongzhuang took Baisher and held him up, while he was still holding onto the demon crystal in his paws, as if he was refusing to let go. The stall owner also felt it was quite amusing after seeing the appearance of Baisher. "Girl, your pet is quite funny." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled helplessly, he just like all these beautiful things. The stall owner nodded his head slightly. It seemed that this contracted pet was purely for appearance purposes, it did not seem to have any fighting ability. This kind of pet was very cute, and they usually liked pretty things. It was normal for this beast to look at the demon crystal right now. How much does this demon crystal cost? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. This is a demon crystal from a second-ranked demon beast. It costs 100 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyebrows raised slightly. I remember that the price of the demon crystal of a demon fox is normally around 90 gold coins. Your price is a bit expensive. Hearing this, the stall owner looked a bit sheepish. He was not aware that this young girl knew so much about the market. Girl, this demon fox can't be caught in our country. The Beast Mountain range is far from us, so the mercenaries needs to work hard to get it. That's enough. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Bashi in her arms, but it seems as if it has no intention of letting go of the demon crystal, holding onto it tightly. The stall owner was also nervous. It would be such a shame if the girl left just like that. Seeing the situation, Bailey Hongzhuang said helplessly, "Seller, this demon crystal is really expensive. Why don't you give me something else as well?" She had previous experience that if you wanted a treasure at a trading market you could never directly ask the price for that item. If you did, the owner would directly raise the price, or he might not sell it. After all, such a thing that no one wanted to buy, if she suddenly wanted it, everyone would become suspicious. Therefore her current actions were the safest approach. Girl, this is a small business after all. The stall owner pretended to be helpless, but deep inside he was feeling lucky. These things aren't that good, but you can pick 2 things amongst them. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed in her heart. It seemed that her goal has been reached. After picking a good-looking ornament, she picked the parchment scroll. These 2 things then. That's fine, the stall owner smiled, and he felt it was very profitable. These 2 things were simply not worth any money. He did not want to cheat the girl, but she seemed satisfied with these 2 things, so he was also happy. Bailey Hongzhuang left the marketplace and reached out to stroke Baishir's fur. "You are so smart," she praised him. She was thinking of buying something else, and Baishir had understood her idea. As a result, the stall owner had no suspicions at all. Listening to the praising words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Baishir could not help but being somewhat smug. It excitedly licked Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and said, naturally, "Stinky guy." Little Black and Little White cursed, but Baishir did not care. These 2 guys were just cursing because they had not been praised. They were just upset that they weren't beasts that their master could bring out. "It is getting late, so let us go back," Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. However, after walking a bit, her expression changed slightly. Her eyes turned dark as a bit of killing intent flashed within. "Master, someone is following us." Little Black's expression was solemn. Previously the master had always acted together with the Kanglan College's students, but now they have acted alone for the first time. These people have appeared out of nowhere. It seems that they have been following them for a while. "There are 3 people following us, all of them are in the Red Realm, and I cannot judge their exact strength." Little White analyzed, but his voice was somewhat heavy. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was at the 2nd stage of the Red Realm. With her age it was already very good, but when facing these opponents, she would encounter a great pressure. Unless Little Black attacked, then it would be fairly simple, but if he truly attacked, then they might be too eye-catching and completely exposed. "There's still me." Baishir was unhappy that Little Black and Little White dared to ignore it. Little Black and White had actually forgotten that Baishir had broken through just recently and its strength was now at the 5th stage of the Red Realm. It was a big boost in strength. "Since you have appeared, stop hiding and come out." It was already late and the people on the street had almost all dispersed. Only a few people were packing up their things and going home. The night was completely black and Bailey Hongzhuang had to admit that the other party had truly picked a good time to move. With the words of Bailey Hongzhuang falling, a man and 2 women appeared in front of her. They were all wearing black clothes, and their faces were covered with a cloth, so that it was impossible to see their appearances at all. "Your perception is sharp," the woman on the left said, "but you will not live past tonight." The eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang were deep like a well. She was alert but not fearful, and there was no panic at all. Who sent you? Han Shiling. So far only 2 people would send red real mead cultivators to kill her, Han Shiling and Ji Yun'er. Contraction between herself and Ji Yun'er was not small, and even though she later resolved her poison, with her bad temperament it was not easy to write off the previous resentment. With Han Shiling, although she looked very elegant and gentle on the surface, Bailey Hongzhuang could easily conclude that her heart was black. She would use any means to achieve her goals. You do not need to know this, the man in the middle whispered. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly. Since you are coming to take my life, you should at least tell me who is going to kill me. We are from Shirtian Tower, we kill people, and that is all that matters. The man's voice is low and the 2 women by his side immediately moved, all of them rushing towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Shirtian Tower. This was the first time Bailey Hongzhuang heard about them. It should be an assassination organization. Since the other party actually looked for an assassination organization to deal with her, then it was likely to be Han Shiling. This was her style. Now that Di Beichen had returned to Tiangang sect, Han Shiling naturally couldn't use her own hands, but letting an assassination organization deal with her, it would undoubtedly let her wash her hands of it. With Ji Yun'er's impulsive temper, she would never order an organization to deal with her, she would send her minions instead. Looking for an assassination organization? She wasn't that smart. The strength within the 2 women's bodies surged in an instant, the majestic power burst out of the 3rd stage of the Red Realm. Bailey Hongzhuang looked seriously at the 2 women. She was currently at the 2nd stage of the Red Realm, but she firmly believed that she would be able to battle those at the 3rd stage. However, she was just still worried about the man standing at the side. She still did not know what strength he wielded. Judging the situation, the man's strength was clearly stronger than the 2 women. The reason he had not attacked yet was because he was not willing to attack just yet. When Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the man, she noticed that he was also looking at her, albeit with a disdainful gleam in his eyes. He didn't really understand why they all needed to attack. Bailey Hongzhuang was merely a 2nd stage Red Realm cultivator. Was it really necessary for all of them to attack? The employer had made it clear that they had to come together to kill Bailey Hongzhuang. It could be seen from this that the employer did not want Bailey Hongzhuang to have the slightest chance of survival. And the payment given by their employer was also rich. They truly got a bargain this time. Bailey Hongzhuang's energy was also surging in her body, and her eyes locked onto the 2 women. The 2 women did not intend to waste any time, they directly rushed at Bailey Hongzhuang. Their bodies were like 2 shadows in the dark, aiming straight at Bailey Hongzhuang's vital points. As an assassin, they wanted to kill their opponent right away, so attacking the vital points was the best solution. The perfect and alluring face was immensely cold, and Bailey Hongzhuang was not slow. Yuanli gathered between her 2 palms, and she did not hesitate to greet the 2 female assassins. When the 2 assassins saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had not escaped, and even took the opportunity to greet their attack, their eyes were filled with disdain, their lips curled into a sneer. What an idiot! The cultivation base was weaker than them, but still thought about resisting. What was the difference between this and suicide? Boom! The fists of Bailey Hongzhuang quickly collided with the fists of the female assassins. As they collided, Yuanli shot out and a terrible shockwave wafted out, showing that the power was terrible. However, during this clash of power, the eyes of the 2 assassins could not help but be filled with surprise. It was to be expected that with their cultivation base, and with both of them attacking at the same time, this Bailey Hongzhuang only had a dead end. However, they were shocked that even though they used their strength, which was higher than Bailey Hongzhuang, she was not injured. I did not expect that you have some strength, one of the women snorted, her eyes boiling with humiliation and anger. The 2 of them had joined forces but been blocked by a weaker cultivator. This was a great shame to them. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a slight playful arc. This is not all I got. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang did not waste any time, but instantly took some steps forward. She took the initiative to attack one of the assassins. Her best choice now was to attack them one by one. If she could kill one of the women first, then her situation would be much better. Boom! The two women continued to attack with their palms, and the tyrannical and unmatched strength continued to explode from the two figures. However, the more they fought, the more fear the two women started to feel. The strength of Bailey Hongzhuang was not at all like someone at the second stage of the Red Realm. Bailey Hongzhuang was not a normal cultivator of the second stage of the Red Realm. She was a true peerless powerhouse. She had plenty of combat experience and could in no way be compared to normal practitioners. Although she was only at the second stage of the Red Realm and she was at a disadvantage, she could use her countless experience and her temperament to raise her strength to a new level. Not to mention, with all her knowledge from her previous life, she had made an extremely stable foundation to her cultivation base, and she was definitely the strongest among her own rank. Boom! Another hard collision caused one of the female assassins to step a few steps back, a fearful and shocked expression on her face. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength is simply too much. Even she couldn't compare to it. You are just a second-stage Red Realm practitioner. How can your strength be so overwhelming? The female assassin could not help but ask suspiciously. She could not help but think that the information they had received was wrong. That Bailey Hongzhuang was in fact not a second-stage Red Realm practitioner, but that she had kept her strength hidden. The lips of Bailey Hongzhuang were slightly hooked into an enchanting and charming smile. Why should I tell you? For cultivators, power was extremely important, especially a small difference between them could be enough to cause problems when fighting. After spending time tempering her body under the waterfall, she often used medicines to improve her body's strength. Although no one could see it when looking at her, her body is far tougher and more powerful than the average cultivator. Not only this, but she also cultivated a body martial art that she had gotten from the Bailey family, the Jade Body Technique. Body martial arts were quite different from ordinary martial arts, its only purpose was to temper the body. The Jade Body Technique, when cultivated to completion, the body would be comparable to jade, indestructible. The Jade Body Technique was divided into 3 layers. Up until now she had only succeeded in cultivating the first layer of the martial arts. As for the later 2 layers, it would take a long time to reach. However, in her current situation, the first layer of the Jade Body Technique was already enough to give her a lot of help. Hearing the ridiculing words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the face of the woman turned ugly. Their strength was undoubtedly higher, but it felt as if the other party held the upper hand. They wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang to teach her not to be too arrogant. Baisher was quietly staying on the side, posing as a cute monster without any attacking power, as if it did not even know that its master was in danger. Master had already told it before, that she would take care of the 2 female assassins, while the target of Baisher was the male assassin. He only needed to pay attention to the male assassin, not let him attack, and when he tried, stop him. Baisher's round eyes kept staring at the male assassin in a seemingly careless manner. As long as the male assassin made the slightest movement, he would pounce on him right away. Fire Fist. The 2 female assassins saw that during their offensive, Bailey Hongzhuang had not at all lost ground, and their faces became ugly as they no longer held anything back and even used their martial arts. One right and one left, both of them reaching towards Bailey Hongzhuang, blocking all her retreat options. They were going to force Bailey Hongzhuang to return these attacks. They did not believe that under such an advance, she would not be able to hold on. When the male assassin saw that the 2 women had directly displayed their fire fist martial arts, there was a smile in his eyes. It seemed that this battle was about to end, their mission would soon be completed. Bailey Hongzhuang's pupils instantly contracted, but her heart was calm. These 2 women had never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang could make it out of this blockade, and when they finally realized it, it was too late. Their fists had already collided into one another. Boom! The 2 fire fists collided with a tyrannical strength. Both of them were backing up a few steps as their faces turned pale. However, just as one of the women stepped back, Bailey Hongzhuang had already arrived behind her with her own attack, Breaking Storm. The majestic Yuanli surged from Bailey Hongzhuang's fist and did not hesitate at all to attack the woman. The male assassin was shocked after seeing this and yelled out, "Be careful." However, all of this was happening so fast as lightning and thunder. Even though the male assassin called out, there was no time for the woman to react. Boom! The breaking storm smashed into the back of the woman. Under this fierce attack, the woman's body flew straight forward, and fell heavily on the ground. At the same time, a mouthful of blood sprayed out of her mouth, her breath weakening before completely cutting off. Bailey Hongzhuang was still cold. She had timed this attack perfectly to give a fatal blow to the woman. In this kind of a siege she was experiencing, she could not give her opponents even the slightest chance of survival. Once she found the opportunity, she had to grasp it. The deep black phoenix eyes were completely calm, not the slightest unrest could be seen within them. The bright moonlight shone upon Bailey Hongzhuang, and her cold figure gave of a cold atmosphere. Especially the smile that lingered on her blood-red lips, it was quite chilling. The expressions of the male and final female assassin changed a bit. According to the information they had gotten, she was merely a student at Kanglan College. Most of the students in Kanglan College were young people, and there were not many who had actually killed another human before. However, after killing someone, there was no tension in Bailey Hongzhuang's expression. Instead there was some enjoyment. As assassins they had a lot of blood on their hands, but they could still remember the panic and nervousness first time they killed someone. The two were shocked when they saw the reaction of Bailey Hongzhuang. According to the words of their tower master, those who behave like Bailey Hongzhuang were born to be killers. Now they had seen this kind of reaction from a simple college student, it was simply unbelievable. Bailey Hongzhuang did not stop there, she went to the other female killer. He wanted a battle. For those who wanted to kill her, she would never be soft. Being an assassin, you should expect to be killed. Feeling the coldness of Bailey Hongzhuang, the last woman also felt a heavy pressure on her. Previously, the two of them had not been her opponent, now she was the only one surviving, naturally she would be even less of an opponent now. Why are you not attacking? The woman could not help but look at the man behind her. At this point he could not help but be a little shocked by Bailey Hongzhuang. Hearing the words of the woman, the male assassin slowly awoke from his stupor. If he did not come out, it would end in both women's death. Losing one member was already a great shame for them. If he lost two companions against a second-stage Red Realm cultivator, he would become the joke of Shirtian Tower when he returned. The battle is over, you can go die now. The man's voice was bold, and his eyes gleamed with a gloomy killing intent in the dark night. At the same time a violent and volatile energy exploded out from his body. He was actually a 5th stage Red Realm practitioner. The 5th stage of the Red Realm was a good strength when it came to assassins, however if he wanted to rely on this strength to put her to death, it was not enough. Only at the 5th stage of the Red Realm and you dare to threaten my life, you overestimate yourself. Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips hooked up in a confident and calm smile. Baisher, who was standing on the side, had long since been unable to hold back. Since it had broken through, it had not once attacked, and now it finally had a chance to fight. This man was so arrogant. It had to bite his neck off. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, the man could not help but hesitate. Had the mentors from the college arrived? However, when he looked around him he saw that there was no movement and he let go of the fear in his heart. You are only a 2nd stage Red Realm cultivator, you sure talk big. Aren't you afraid of having your tongue cut off? The female assassin sneered. Bailey Hongzhuang's one brow slightly raised and she chuckled, since you are two, then we will also be two, let's fight 2 against 2. When the words were said, the male and the female assassin could not help but look around. Did the mentors really appear? Although they were confident in their strength, they knew that they were not the opponents of the mentors from the college. A feeling of tension and fear spread in their hearts and they kept looking around. If they saw the appearance of the mentors they would run away in an instant. There was nothing around them. No movement at all. You lied to me. The face of the man turned green with shame. He had been tricked by a simple sentence by Bailey Hongzhuang. What an embarrassment this was. Why would I lie to you? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. Your mentor hasn't arrived. The male assassin gnashed his teeth with anger. Bailey Hongzhuang was showing far too much confidence, so he was easily tricked by her. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders innocently. When did I say that my mentors were here? What's more, there are 2 mentors at my college, if they come it would be a 3 against 2. Reaching this point, Bailey Hongzhuang helplessly shook her head. As far as your IQ is concerned, how could you even become an assassin? Being this stupid, it was a miracle that he was still alive. Little Black and Little White were also chuckling. These 2 assassins were simply too stupid. The situation that had worried them before was now easy to solve. They had already passed the dangerous part, so they had nothing to worry about. Naturally they did not mind humiliating the assassin. Then why would you say 2 against 2? There is no one else apart from you. The woman could not help but say in a very loud voice. Although the ridicule in Bailey Hongzhuang's words made her angry, her alertness as an assassin made her endure, trying to understand what was going on. After all, if there really is one more person here, they might suffer. Bailey Hongzhuang pointed at Baisher. I meant this guy. When the words of Bailey Hongzhuang fell, the male and female assassin could not help but look at the small beast, and then they laughed out loud. What joke are you making? The male assassin laughed. This one. Based on what? An ornamental pet? The woman could also not help but feel that Bailey Hongzhuang was really stupid. Pets like this is really not their enemy. If they wanted to, then just one sword strike would kill it completely. Baisher, these 2 guys are laughing at you. Little Black could not help but wish for the world to be completely chaotic. Hurry up and show them your might, they think they are tigers when they are just sick cats. Little White also added. These 2 guys were actually quite unhappy that they could not attack, so instead they hoped that Baisher would teach them a lesson. In the eyes of Baisher was also a thick anger. He was a beastmaster, and now he was ridiculed by these 2 brainless idiots. This was simply unbearable. Master, I want to kill them, Baisher said angered. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes contained a bit of mischief when she looked to the 2 people. You have angered my contract beast, you have to be prepared to withstand its anger. Ha, she is really an idiot. The man could not help but laugh as he was thinking about how this college student was a true idiot. Go on. Bailey Hongzhuang did not care about the man's ridicule because soon he would know how stupid he was right now. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out her colored glass sword and did not hesitate to attack the woman. The woman was also vigilant when she saw this. Although the contract beast was useless, Bailey Hongzhuang was not to be underestimated. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to attack the woman, the male assassin never put Baisher in his eyes. Instead he picked his weapon and got ready to attack Bailey Hongzhuang. However, it was a tragedy for the male assassin. The male assassin only felt a white light flashing towards him. He suddenly felt his hairs stand on ends. He could feel a strong sense of crisis in his heart. This sense of crisis was bigger than any other he had ever felt in his many years as an assassin. Here, how could someone pose such a great threat to him? Not waiting for the male assassin to react, Baisher had swiftly rushed up to him, and used his sharp teeth to bite down the neck of the male assassin. The man only felt a sharp pain in his neck. He did not even have the time to react before it was directly bitten through by Baisher. The second before he died, the man finally realized what had killed him. It was the contract beast he had never looked at before. He still did not understand, how could an ornamental contract beast directly bite his neck? He was a 5th stage Red Realm practitioner. The defense of his body was much stronger than that of ordinary people. However, seeing this result, Bailey Hongzhuang was not surprised at all. How hard were the demon crystals? Baishir liked to eat them with no hindrance. The man's defensive power was simply nothing in front of Baishir's teeth. The woman was stunned by the scene, and she could not believe that the man had died so easily. When she looked at Baishir again, her eyes had completely changed. This. What kind of beast is this? You just need to know that he is not a normal beast. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold and indifferent. The glass sword also stabbed the woman at the exact same time. Bailey Hongzhuang collected the 3 assassins' Qiankuan bags. It seemed that she was also getting a lot of wealth this evening. Clap. Just as the spoils of war had been collected, Bailey Hongzhuang heard a clapping sound coming from behind her. Listening to the movements behind her, the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang turned solemn. She was unaware of who it could be at the current point in time. However, when she saw the appearance of the person, she could not help but blink in surprise. The man was dressed in a soft black robe with blue silk embroideries. The handsome face was as if God had carved it from the finest jade. The dark deep eyes were filled with a slight smile, and these eyes were instantly recognizable for Bailey Hongzhuang. His eyes were different from Bewitching's. While Bewitching's were deep as the ocean, filled with confidence, the man in front of her was black as the night, holding a suffocating pressure and despair within. It's you. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the man in front of her. This was the second time they had met each other. This person was no one else than Mo Yunjue, the Mo Yunjue she had met outside the mountain range back when the beast horde appeared. We meet again, Bailey girl, Mo Yunjue chuckled. His eyes either intentionally or unintentionally swept across a row of houses on the left. Behind these houses 2 men and 1 woman frowned when they noticed the gaze of Mo Yunjue. How come Mo Yunjue arrived here? It seems that he already noticed us. There was a hint of coldness in the woman's words. Our mission today can't be completed. Mo Yunjue's reputation is outstanding. Although I've never fought him, we are hiding well, and he still noticed us. He should be very strong. Since we have missed the opportunity, let's leave. One of the men said. The other man nodded his head. I did not expect that all 3 of them would die like this. It was a waste of a good opportunity. The 3 people no longer hesitated and left. Being an assassin was like this. As soon as they were exposed, they would have to look for another opportunity. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at the row of houses before she turned to Mo Yunjue. Thank you. Oh. Mo Yunjue raised an eyebrow. I don't seem to know what you are thanking me for. If you did not arrive, I am afraid that other group of assassins would not have left. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face showed some signs of confidence. She too had realized that there was someone hiding there. The fluctuations were incredibly small, so she was not sure if they were there, but now everything was okay. With Han Shiling's temper, once she attacked she wanted to make completely sure that there was no chance whatsoever of survival. Therefore the first 3 assassins were just a scouting team. If they could kill her, then that would obviously be for the best, but if they couldn't, then another group would appear. She did not doubt that the second group of killers were even stronger than the previous ones. From this point of view, the assassins from Shirtian Tower seemed to work together. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, a flash of appreciation appeared in Mo Yunjue's eyes. The performance of Bailey Hongzhuang had already stunned him. He did not think that the 3 who had hidden so well were noticed by her. It was really unbelievable. You sure are clever. It seems that the person who wants to kill you is going to be disappointed. Mo Yunjue's lips curved upwards as he laughed. It seems that the Beast Master has advanced quite a lot in your hands. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, faintly answering, it has broken through once. Towards this Mo Yunjue she has a feeling of uncertainty. When they were in the mountain range they just made a deal. She always thought that Mo Yunjue had a heavy background and story about him. The last time they obviously reached an agreement and Mo Yunjue also helped her once, so she was also grateful. Bailey girl, don't you live around the Luoyun mountain range? What are you doing here in the Qing dynasty? Mo Yunjue seemed to feel the gratitude of Bailey Hongzhuang, and he asked something that made him curious. In fact, he was a cold and callous person who never had the desire to speak with people. Only this Bailey Hongzhuang was different. When he saw her the first time, he felt that she was different from other people. At that time he was severely injured. He was quite sure that he would not be able to survive, but this woman actually helped him get rid of the poison. Therefore, now that he had seen Bailey Hongzhuang again, he could help but be interested. I'm going to Lingyin College, Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Why are you here? I'm just an ordinary businessman, I will naturally go where there is business. Are you a businessman? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Mo Yunjue. No matter how she looked at him, he did not resemble a businessman. Mo Yunjue's lips hooked up into a smile. Not all businessmen looks like businessmen. I am glad I don't stink of gold and copper that most of them smell of. However, his business is quite different from ordinary businessmen's. Bailey Hongzhuang looked deeply at Mo Yunjue. With his behavior and appearance, it did not seem as if he was telling a lie. In fact, she also saw that he wasn't lying, and there was simply no need to deceive her. You don't look like a businessman, but doing business is also good. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about how he had been so injured back at the Luoyun Mountains. He was able to escape from the swallowing cloud herb, so the strength of Mo Yunjue had to be very strong. His business should not be simple. Bailey girl, you saved my life last time and I am very grateful. If you have the time, I would like to ask you out to have a meal with me. Mo Yunjue's voice was gentle and his eyes were like two black holes, without anything but darkness. It was impossible to see his emotions. This time you saved me, it should be me who owe you a favor. She had never liked to take advantage of others. If it wasn't for Mo Yunjue who had appeared, then her situation would have been very bad. Mo Yunjue just waved his hand. If you hadn't saved me last time, then would not have appeared this time. So I still owe you for your kindness. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. This Mo Yunjue was good at turning things around and making her unable to refute. Okay, she said helplessly, I will have a meal with you if I get to see you in the future. They have just met each other that one time, it was amazing they met a second time, the chance to meet again is even smaller. We will meet again, Mo Yunjue said. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a doubtful glance. She did not understand how Mo Yunjue could be so confident. However, there was no conflict between herself and Mo Yunjue, on the contrary, they had both helped one another and should be considered friends. Then I'll see you later, Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand at him before turning around and walking back to the inn. It was late, and she was not sure about how many people Han Shiling had sent to deal with her. It would save her some trouble to hurry back as soon as possible. Mo Yunjue looked at the back of Bailey Hongzhuang, and the lips curled into a faint smile, but the eyes were flashing with a bit of danger. The next moment his eyes fell on the three bodies that were laying on the ground, and his eyes were like a black hole, flashing with a cold light as the bodies were collected by him. There was nothing left apart from a bit of blood on the ground. When Bailey Hongzhuang had returned to the room, she could not help but think a bit. Master, I feel that this Mo Yunjue is not simple, Little Black slowly said. Baisher looks like this. Not many people would be able to distinguish the identity of Baisher, but he recognized it with a single glance. It is obvious he knows a lot of things. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. I also have a feeling of being unable to see through this Mo Yunjue. She was quite sure that he was deeply hidden. But she felt that it was not a good idea to judge him. Some people hide deeply. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it for some time, but then she shrugged her shoulders. Everyone had their own story, why should she try to pry deeper? It was the same with her, everyone was curious as to how she had changed from being a waste to how she was now. Wasn't she still hiding her identity? Listening to what Bailey Hongzhuang said, Little Black and Little White nodded. There was a certain truth in what their owner had said. However, that Han Shiling is really disgusting. Little Black's face was full of anger. The woman was pretending to be an elegant and refined woman, but in the dark she had sent assassins to kill their master. This kind of woman, she should just stop pretending next time, it is simply disgusting. Little White said. Baishir was sitting on the side as he nodded his head, he also found the woman abhorrent. The back eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang flashed with coldness. She did not have the last bit of good impression of Han Xiling. There were two kinds of arrogant women in the world. The first one had true pride and arrogance. This kind of person would never use underhanded methods to deal with their opponents. Because this kind of person wanted to defeat their opponent in an honest manner, otherwise they would feel it shameful. The other one is fake and proud and unscrupulous. She used a proud image to face the world. She was like a white swan on the outside, but her heart was dirty, everything was just an unspeakable disguise. Obviously Han Xiling belonged to the second type. I will definitely give her back in the future for everything she has done to me. The voice of Bailey Hongzhuang was filled with unspeakable coldness. She would never let go of an enemy. Since Han Xiling had already attacked her, she would not be polite towards her. Only, right now Han Xiling's status was higher than hers. Han Xiling could attack her, but she couldn't attack back. However, she believed that this situation would soon change. The members of a sect had always been great figures, not to mention that Han Xiling was also the granddaughter of the Grand Elder of Tiangang sect. From the moment she was born she was used to being superior, and it had grown to how she was today with the help of numerous cultivation resources. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's opinion was that some cultivators who came from simple backgrounds could be much more difficult to handle. Because they had a determined mind and a driving force in their progress. They had no way to retreat. This is also why many of the strongest people on the Xingxian continent were from humble backgrounds. Such cultivators were usually the most horrible and most determined. When she used to be the family leader of the Bailey family, she had seen many of these cultivators. Now that she had changed her identity, she did not feel that she was wrong. As long as you were strong enough, then background had no meaning at all. Little Black, Little White and Basishi had already understood everything after seeing the gaze of Bailey Hongzhuang. They did not need to say anything, they knew that their owner was destined to be enemies with Han Xiling. When they are reunited with Di Beichen again, they would tell him directly, that the one he considered a good sister actually was such an ugly woman. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly calmed down and took out the parchment roll she had gotten at the marketplace earlier. Looking at the black parchment scroll in front of her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were bright. She could feel that there was a faint force of energy emitted from it, and she was curious, but even so, she knew that it was not certain that it was a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang gently opened the scroll only to find that the only thing on it was a landscape painting. Master, is this just a painting of a landscape? The little paw of Baishir was placed upon the scroll as he looked at the painting. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the scroll carefully, but the scroll did not seem to contain anything else than a landscape painting that was drawn upon it. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. She was a little doubtful. Logically speaking, this should not only be a landscape painting. If it was just a normal landscape painting, why can I feel a bit of mental power fluctuating on it? Bailey Hongzhuang said, puzzled as she looked at the landscape painting, yet at that moment, the fluctuation she had felt earlier disappeared. Master, I heard that some people might add a bit of soul power to useless things, so that the buyer think that it is a treasure and buys it at a high price. It was said that a businessman would never suffer a loss. But Little White shook his head, that is not the case here. If he was doing it deliberately, then he would definitely not let her take it away like that. I too could feel the mental fluctuation of this parchment scroll. Little White's expression was doubtful. What could be the reason? Bailey Hongzhuang gazed at the parchment roll. She felt that it was not as simple as being a landscape painting. What's more, this scroll was only as big as a palm, who would paint on such a small canvas? Her hands gently touched the material of the parchment scroll, and Bailey Hongzhuang found that it was very different from normal scrolls. Is there really no problem with this parchment scroll? In the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang a bit of doubt flashed. When she followed the family elders, they would tell her that some people would seal a real treasure using some methods. As a result, many would miss the treasure, only those who knows about it could unlock it. Her fingertips kept gently rubbing the parchment roll while considering what to do, what was feasible. Suddenly there was a firm light in the eyes of Bailey Honghuang. It didn't matter, she should give it a try. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang reached out for a candle. Seeing her actions, all three beasts showed a bit of confusion. They quickly asked, "Master, what are you doing?" "Since I don't know if this parchment scroll is useful, it's better to try some different methods. If it is successful it'll obviously be the best, but if it isn't that's fine too. If it isn't it would have been useless in my hands anyway." Bailey Hongzhuang was indifferent. She knew that the method of burning it with fire was somewhat risky, but how would she know if it worked without trying it? If it failed, then it would not matter. Hearing it, the three beasts thought for a moment before they nodded their heads. What their owners said made a lot of sense, they had no reason to object. Bailey Hongzhuang placed the parchment scroll on top of the candle, allowing for the heat to penetrate through the material. The parchment scroll twisted at this temperature for a moment, but Bailey Hongzhuang saw that there were 3 layers to this parchment scroll. The front and the back were ordinary parchment scrolls, and the landscape painting which had been drawn so beautifully had now become nothing. In the middle of the 2 layers, a small thin piece of paper appeared. Success! Little Black couldn't help but be excited. This was truly the feeling of finding a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips also turned into a bright smile. It seemed that her judgment was correct. When she had rubbed the parchment scroll she had felt that the material was slightly thicker than normal, but there was really not much of a difference. She did not think that there was something wrapped within the 2 layers of parchment paper. It seemed that whomever had made this parchment scroll had spent a whole lot of thought on it. It was very difficult to make the parchment scroll this thin and perfectly blend the 2 pages together. Since even she had been unable to tell anything was amiss, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that this was not an easy thing to achieve. After burning the parchment scroll, Bailey Hongzhuang took the piece of paper that had been in the middle and placed it on the table. After the burnt paper slowly disappeared, Bailey Hongzhuang saw the content of the paper. This is a map. After seeing the content that was drawn on the paper, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but be stunned. "Master, this should be a map," Little Black agreed with a nod of his head. "However, this is not the entire map." Bailey Hongzhuang carefully looked at the mountains and rivers that were drawn on the paper, and she also saw a red route that was drawn onto the map. It was just that there was a starting point, but there was no end point to it. Looking at the mountains and rivers at the edge, Bailey Hongzhuang could also be certain that this was not a complete map. This should only be a part of the map. As for the other parts, I am afraid I don't know where they are. When the shopkeeper returned to the counter he was surprised to see that there was a purple gold coin on the counter. When he saw this, the shopkeeper could not help but laugh. His heart was a little more grateful towards Bailey Hongzhuang. So talented, she will become something big in the future. Soon after Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had appeared, the cultivators of Beihai College also showed up. When enemies meet it is natural for jealousy to appear. If eyes could kill, then Bailey Hongzhuang would have died several times over. Yesterday Lu Jingqi ate a loss twice in the hand of Bailey Hongzhuang, and she was very unhappy. She did not think that the mentor would scold them for this matter, but it really made her feel suffocated. If she could, she would have killed both Xia Jiqing and Bailey Hongzhuang, but she did not have enough confidence in her strength, so she had no other option than to endure. Lu Jinglin and the others were also cold after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and her friends, not at all concealing the hatred in their eyes. However, the mentors had already told them not to start any fights. If they truly wanted to fight, then they had to wait until they arrived at Lingyin College. They had no other option than to listen to their mentor, however their hearts were hurting, and they couldn't wait to let this bad breath out. Xia Jiqing noticed that although Lu Jingqi had seen her, she did nothing. It was a bit strange, but she could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at the members from Beihai College with indifference before they turned back towards the road leading to Lingyin College. In fact, from beginning to end, it was always the students of Beihai College that were looking for trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not the kind of people to stir up a conflict. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others left, the practitioners from Beihai College picked another road. If they stayed on the road that Bailey Hongzhuang and those had picked, then they would meet all the time, and they would be unable to hold back. The cultivators from Beihai College took another road from us. That's strange. Xia Jiqing said in a loud voice, that's not their style. Dongfang Yu's eyes were also slightly surprised when he answered, they took another route today, and their mood was quite different. I think they were reprimanded by their mentor. Although they could not see the mentors, they knew they were close by. Everything that happened yesterday was likely to be known to the Beihai College mentors. The confrontation between the students was already so volatile, but the confrontation between the mentors would be even more intense. Xia Jiqing smiled brightly, you're most likely right, it has to be like this. Even if they had lost twice, with the character of Lu Jingqi, it was impossible to back down like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a slight smile. Sooner or later we'll meet again. Let's go. After 2 weeks, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty. The Qing dynasty was a large country, and the broad streets with the magnificent buildings proved their long history. Walking on the streets, the traffic was busy, and the pedestrians were moving in a constant stream. The bustle was unlike any they had seen before. All kinds of things they had never seen before appeared here, even for Bailey Hongzhuang. So there was naturally some surprise and interest in her eyes. Wow, the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty is so prosperous. Xia Jiqing's eyes sparkled with excitement, and her head was constantly turning as she tried to see everything at once. It was simply too spectacular. Lingyin College is located in the imperial capital of Qing dynasty. Zhang Yunfeng was astounded. Lingyin College was located at such a bustling place, it was far different from what she had expected. Although the city was lively, it was almost too lively. A college was for students to practice, such a prosperous place could confuse students. Lingyin College was originally located at Lingyin City, which is at the border to the Qing dynasty. It was only after the sponsoring of the royal family that they moved to the imperial capital. Today the princes and princess of the Qing dynasty is studying at the Lingyin College, and it has become the royal college. Gong Shaoqing said slowly. As they listened, they all understood. They had not expected the relationship between Lingyin College and the Qing dynasty to be so close. No wonder that Lingyin College won twice in the college tournament. With the financial support of the Qing dynasty, they have many more resources than others, Cui Haoyan could not help but say. Gong Shaoqing waved his hand, they lost the original purpose from setting up a college. They serve the royal family now, and there is a lot of restrictions on the students. I heard that amongst the Lingyin Academy students are many royals and nobles. And the requirement for these to enter is extremely low, while all the ones from poor upbringing has the harshest conditions to join. This is also why so many are going to Kanglin College now. Even if the resources are a bit lacking compared to Lingyin College, they will not have to be ridiculed by others, nor will they have the same restrictions. Dongfang Yu spread his hands as he said. When Lingyin College became servants of the Qing dynasty, this situation was to be expected. Everyone is entitled to think as they wish, but for the principal of the Lingyin College to force us to follow them like this, it is going too far. Bailey Hongzhuang was calm, she never felt that there was any right or wrong. It is just that you cannot force your thoughts onto others. Everyone nodded. This was also what was making them immensely annoyed. While everyone were discussing, Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba had appeared in front of everyone. The vice principal went to see a friend here in the Qing dynasty. We will take you to the Lingyin College first. Lu Huaiyan smiled and said. These students had never shamed them, instead they were their pride. There was also a smile on everyone else's face. They were very curious about the Lingyin College. Under the leadership of Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba, they slowly moved towards Lingyin College. On both sides of the street, many had their eyes turned towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was, after all, very eye-catching to see such a group of young and talented cultivators. I heard that the 3-college tournament is about to begin. This group of young experts must be cultivators from one of the other 2 colleges. Should be. I have seen many of Lingyin College's students, but these people I have never seen before. I don't know where they are from, but these students are really beautiful. Even so, Lingyin College is always the strongest. Lingyin College has already won 2 consecutive tournaments. If they win again, that is 3 victories in a row. The people were laughing as they chatted. They had always had good feelings towards Lingyin College. I can see that Lingyin College has a good reputation in Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Lingyin College has produced many outstanding geniuses. The Qing dynasty is also highly respected, so naturally the reputation is very good, Lu Huaiyan explained. However, this is also good. Lingyin College is now more and more eye-catching, and you have the chance to grasp an opportunity and turn it all around. Along with the words of Lu Huaiyan, the people looked at each other and seemed to understand that this was truly a feast of hongmen. They could easily imagine that now they had arrived at the Lingyin College, they would become the subject of provocation and ridicule. The royal family had already been unrelenting, not to mention their college had already lost twice in a row. Almost no one were optimistic about their college this time. Under the leadership of Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at Lingyin College. The white gate was big and magnificent, the gold-plated 4 characters shimmered in the sunlight. From this alone one could see the strong financial backing that the college had. This Lingyin College is really different. After being sponsored by the Qing dynasty, even the door is made so special, much more refined. Cui Haoyan smiled and said with emotion. By just looking at the gate, he could guess that everything within Lingyin College had been made with a mountain of money. In contrast, Kanglan College was indeed much simpler. Everyone had different feelings as they observed Lingyin College. However, just as they were about to enter the gate, a small guard stepped forward. Who are you? Only students of this college is allowed to enter. We are from Kanglan College and has come to participate in the college tournament, Fu Hongba explained. When the words fell, Fu Hongba was ready to enter the college, but the guard was still blocking the entrance with his body. How do I know if you are from Kanglan College? The guard looked at them with ridicule and sneered. Fu Hongba frowned slightly. So how do we prove it? Take out your identity token, the guard said. We will not let every cat and dog enter our Lingyin College just because they want. They have to see if they are worthy. Hearing the words of the guard, the expressions of everyone's faces turned ugly. The guard was clearly saying that they were not worth enough to enter Lingyin College. Fu Hongba and Lu Huaiyan looked at one another, and although they saw the anger in the other's eyes, they did not flare up. Identity token? What kind of identity token? Lu Huaiyan's eyes flashed with doubt. Before, no one had said anything about needing identity tokens to enter the college. Last time they came to the college there was not anything like this either. Did the Lingyin College change these past 3 years? Proof that can determine that you are from Kanglan College, the guard smirked as he had no intention of giving Lu Huaiyan an answer. Then inform your principal, he knows us and will be able to prove our identity. Fu Hongba endured the anger as he said. The guard wanted to mock them further and looked at Fu Hongba. Just by you. What makes you think you have the right to see our principal? He is always very busy. If everyone asked to see him, he would have no time for anything else. Get out if you can't find a proof of identity. Don't stand here and block the door. It will damage the reputation of the Lingyin College. Seeing his mocking expression, he successfully ignited Dongfang Yu and the others' anger. Even a guard is so arrogant, it is simply unbearable. Fu Hongba also felt anger and wanted to end it right away. However, just as Fu Hongba was about to actually do something, a mocking voice was heard behind them. Hey, someone was actually stopped outside the college. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned around only to see Xue Haolang and the others led by two mentors. The person who spoke was wearing a black robe and was a mentor of Beihai College, Duan Yingguo. Fu Hongba's eyes were gloomy. Duan Yingguo had always been narrow-minded, so the ridicule was within his expectation. When they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had been stopped, the expressions on Xue Haolang and the others turned smug. The previous suffocation, now they could return it, since they had arrived at Lingyin College. Duan Yingguo smiled and looked at Fu Hongba, but he did not care too much and led the students behind him inside. However, the guards who had been stopping them before allowed the Beihai students entry. He even had a smile on his face as he looked at Duan Yingguo and Mo Xinghai. Mentor Duan, Mentor Mo, you have arrived. Duan Yingguo smiled provocatively at Fu Hongba and Lu Huaiyan as he said, the location for our Beihai students should have been prepared, right? Of course it has. The guard nodded his head. Please enter. Seeing this, Xia Jiqing could not help but ask, why can they be allowed inside without a proof of identity? Duan Yingguo and the others stopped because of her words and gave Fu Hongba a sly look. It was rare to see such a joke, naturally they had to enjoy it. Can your identity be compared to ours? Lu Jingqi asked with a smug smile. Our mentors are famous, who knows about some country bumpkins who came from God knows where. When they heard these words, the lips of Xue Haolang raised. They had eaten a loss at Bailey Hongzhuang's hands, now they must let her feel their superiority. This kind of people, we don't know where they come from. Guard, you have to check it. Lu Jinglin almost screamed as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with eyes filled with resentment. This Bailey Hongzhuang was treated specially by Xiao Lanmei, this was hurting her greatly. And because of the injury Bailey Hongzhuang had given her, she had suffered a lot of pain. The two mentors were harsh, and although she was injured they would not slow down, causing her to be in severe pain. This was all Bailey Hongzhuang's fault. Now, under the introduction of the mentors, they have a slight understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, and know her name is Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the resentful gaze of Lu Jinglin, Bailey Hanswang is calm and the resentment has no influence on her. The guard nodded his head and said, I will check their identity. Mo Xinghai smiled, everyone must be tired after moving so long, let us go to see the accommodation prepared by Lingyin College and take a rest. Yes, Su Haolang and the others opened their mouth and laughed excitedly. They thought that the people of Kanglin College were mad over being stopped outside the gate. As the cultivators of Beihai College disappeared from the vision of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, everyone's eyes fell on the guard again. Mentor, why bother with him? Let's just go inside. Cui Haoyan could not help but say. This kind of annoying person who was deliberately making a fool of them and refusing to say anything straight. In fact, they can feel that this is the attitude of Lingyin College. How can a guard make such trouble on his own? Cui Haoyan is right, we can just enter, the guard can't stop us. Bai Junyu agreed. They were here to represent the Kanglin College but were stopped by a mere guard. This was an embarrassing matter. Listening to the words, the expression on the guard's face changed slightly, but he soon said, you want to force your way into the Lingyin College? Do you think I won't dare get the royal guard to drive you away? Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba looked at one another, not sure about what to do. This reflected exactly what I had expected. If they force their way in, they would get a bad reputation, but staying here would be humiliating. Once the royal guard appeared they would be arrested, then this could be a big trouble. Even if they knew that this was the idea of the Lingyin College, they were at a loss for what to do. At this point in time, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke up. "Are you sure you want us to be locked outside?" The guard looked at her and said, "Of course, you can't prove your identity, how can I let you inside?" Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with doubt. Right now they had no solution, maybe she could fix it. "We were invited by Lingyin College to participate in the tournament. You dare to stop us from entering, are you sure you can afford to do this?" The momentum of Bailey Hongzhuang was unstoppable, even if Lingyin College were going against them, this was too much. If they did not show their attitude, then they would simply be despised. Previously someone told him it was best to make things difficult for the Kanglan students and make them lose face. However, when the woman said this, he did not know how to answer. After a moment of hesitation the guard said, "As a guard I will stop anyone unknown. What responsibility do I have to take?" After speaking, the guard showed a smugness in his eyes. He would not be scared. If this student of Kanglan College wanted to be too much, he would make her forced to submit. Just as the guy wanted to see Bailey Hongzhuang turn pale, he saw her sneer. "Since Lingyin College does not welcome us we are leaving." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba when she said this. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba also nodded their heads. They could not continue this deadlock. It was better to just leave. As for the follow-up, they would find a way to handle it later. When the guard saw that the Kanglan College's people were about to leave, the expression on his face finally flashed with some color. He was only ordered to cause some problems for the students, if they really left he would not be able to handle the aftermath. Xia Jiqing and the others did not hesitate and left together with the two mentors. The attitude of Lingyin College was simply too disgusting. "Wait," seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others get ready to leave the guard could not help but call out. Bailey Hongzhuang stopped her steps and looked at the guard, sarcasm heavy in her eyes. "What now? We are not even at the door of Lingyin College, if something is broken, don't come at us for it." Hearing the sarcasm in her voice, the guard's face turned red. His expression was ugly before he raised his chin in arrogance once more. "Wait a moment, if anyone can prove your identity I will let you in." When he spoke everyone were silent. It seemed that he still wanted them to show gratitude to him. "No need." Bailey Hongzhuang lifted her hand slightly. "We can see the hospitality of the Lingyin College clearly." Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xia Jiqing and the others and said, "Let us leave this place, they are too arrogant." Next Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked away with steady steps. This kind of place, if they continued to stay they'd just be ridiculed. Why would they do that? "Hey! You guys," the guard looked at the back of Bailey Hongzhuang and her group and his face became ugly. He did not expect that the situation would become like this. As a matter of fact, these people from Kanglan College should not try to leave, how come the situation was like this? Thinking about it, the guard rushed into the college with an anxious expression on his face. He had to tell the higher-ups. Soon after the people from Beihai College had entered Lingyin College, the two mentors of Lingyin College came to greet them. "Mentor Duan, Mentor Mo, we haven't seen you for a long time." One of the instructors of the school, Wan Yulong, had a happy smile on his face. Seeing Wan Yulong, Duan Yinggu, and Mo Xinghai's facts also reveal a smile. "Hello Mentor Wan, we haven't seen you for a while, it seems your strength has increased." Wan Yulong smiled lightly and seemed modest, though he said with heartfelt pride, "A bit stronger." "You have arrived, I don't know when the students from Kanglan College will arrive?" The mentor next to Wan Yulong asked. Hearing this Duan Yinggu and Mo Xinghai could not help but laugh. "They are being blocked at the door, the guard wanted them to prove their identity. I am afraid they won't be able to enter for a while." Duan Yinggu chuckled. The good drama has already begun, Wan Yulong chuckled. I would have liked to see this good show for myself. The mentors did a good job, they should be unable to verify their identity. The four mentors smiled at each other. There was some ridicule in the smiles. Today is really fun, isn't that Bailey Hongzhuang so good normally, isn't it just being humiliated as well? Lu Jinglin's eyes flashed with success, but her eyes were on Xiao Lanmei, she wanted to know what his attitude towards all this was. Lu Jingqi was also very excited. Today I am really too happy. They deserved it, now let's see them getting a slap in the face. She was disgusted with Xia Jiqing. Now she wanted to see her being taken down a notch. I don't know how long the students will have to wait outside. Shui Haolang also felt that he was letting go of a bad breath. Although he had no evidence, he knew they had taken his Qiankuan bag. It was impossible for ordinary people to do so. Xiao Lanmei was indifferent as if it had nothing to do with him. Lu Jinglin also let go of her impression after seeing Xiao Lanmei like this. It did not seem like H treated her that special after all. However, just as the four mentors were all very happy, the guard came rushing over. Mentor Wan, Mentor Jiang, seeing the guard Wan Yulong also felt he had done a good job and smiled. You did a good job today, it earned face for our academy. He was the first person to let them know their lowly identity when they came to the academy. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces were also filled with smiles. This trick is really making them happy. However, the guard who had run all the way had an anxious expression and gasped with a big breath, Wan Yulong patted the guard's shoulder, what about them? Say it slowly. They left. At this moment the guard said it and Wan Yulong was shocked, frowning slightly, who left? The team from Kanglin College, they are gone. The guard's face was very ugly. He did not think that they would leave just like this. If they don't participate in the tournament, it would be horrible if he got blamed by the principal. Wan Yulong's face changed. What? How is this possible, what did you do? Mentor, I asked them of proof of identity just as you instructed me to, and instead of arguing they just left like this. The guard looked bitter. Mentor, I did everything as you instructed me to, you have to save me. The reason he dared to be so arrogant was because he was certain the team would not leave, only look for a way to enter the college. He had never expected they would do the complete opposite. It made him dumbfounded. To become a guard of Lingyin College was a good job. He had used a lot of personal relationships and was able to finally become one. He couldn't lose this job because of this. Not only Wan Yulong, but also Jiang Lihui's faces suddenly changed. No matter how much they looked down on the college, now that they had left, they could not handle the consequences. How could they go? Wan Yulong was unable to believe it. Won't they participate in the college tournament? According to what he had thought, they would not leave. Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai were also shocked at this point. They had made the college tournament earlier for the sake of dealing with the Kanglin College. As long as the Kanglin College failed this time again, the college would never be able to lift its head in the future. Now that the team from Kanglin College had left, if they didn't participate in the college tournament, then hadn't they lost greatly this time? The most important thing was that it was all caused by Lingyin College who blocked their entry. So even if they choose to drop out from the tournament, then it was not their fault. This could be very troublesome. Hongzhuang, we left just like this, do we not participate in the tournament? Xia Jiqing could not help but ask the things that worried her. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand, of course we will participate in the tournament. So what do we do now? Xia Jiqing asked in a confused way. We just need to find an inn here in the imperial capital. Everything was arranged by the Lingyin College and they will definitely not be willing to see us leave like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a confident smile. In her opinion, the trick used by Lingyin College is simply too stupid. Rejecting them for the sake of ridiculing them, but when they left, their principal would have to come back and apologize to them. Which college would lose the most face by this? Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba completely understood after listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, and their hearts were filled with admiration towards her. Bailey Hongzhuang was really smart. Since they will not let us leave, they will come and ask us to come back. We will just find an inn and live in, while experiencing Qing dynasty's imperial capital the next 2 days. Lu Huaiyan smiled. This method of Bailey Hongzhuang, not only did it save their face and save them from humiliation, it also made the Lingyin College lose face. It was definitely the best solution. Listening to the two mentors, Bai Junyu and the others understood what was happening and their faces showed a smile. After we said we were leaving, the guard's face instantly turned into the color of a pig's liver. Xia Jiqing smiled happily. At this moment, since she had understood all the ins and outs of the matter, she did not have the same tension as she had in the beginning. Now that she thought of the appearance of the guard, she could only feel that it was all ridiculous. The guy was annoying, and we left. He must be very unhappy now. As practitioners of Kanglin College they have always been respected, but here they were being humiliated. Dong Fangyu chuckled. Even if the guard was ordered to do this, when this is informed to the Lingyin College's principal, he will not have a good time. As Dong Fangyu said this, the others gave him a thumbs up. This was simply the best. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others randomly found an inn in the imperial capital. Even though they had traveled for a long time, they were only a little tired. Instead, they were interested in the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty. The two mentors have already gone to meet the vice president. Why don't we go out and experience the imperial capital at night? Cui Haoyan's face was full of smiles that resembled the spring breeze. Although the results of the college tournament was not optimistic, at least he was in a good mood. Hearing the question, the faces of the others were also showing a color of interest. When they first came to Qing dynasty they should enjoy themselves. Since we are already here, let's go shopping, isn't it a waste if we don't? Dong Fangyu grinned, let's set out. After leaving the inn, everyone went to a restaurant to eat. After asking around, they knew a bit about the Qing dynasty. The first tower had the most delicious meals. The group did not hesitate to head towards the first tower. Every region had different kinds of specialties. They had finally arrived at the Qing dynasty and their hearts were filled with curiosity. They naturally had to try out the most delicious food from this area. Standing in front of the door to the first tower, everyone had a bit of surprise in their eyes. On the golden nameplate, the 3 characters of the first tower was written as if the calligraphy was dragons and phoenixes dancing together. The first tower was like its name, the best restaurant in the Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang had just entered the restaurant when she saw a smiling waiter come towards her. Several guests, there is no space on the second floor, all rooms are rented out. I do not know whether or not you wish to eat in the lobby. Everyone nodded their heads. Sitting in the lobby was also a good decision, because people were usually talking well and they could listen in on important conversations. When they arrived they knew nothing of the Qing dynasty, maybe they could hear some favorable news. Under the guidance of the waiter, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were seated in the center of the lobby. They had to admit that the business in the first tower was extremely busy. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others intentionally entered the most popular restaurant. Even so, they had not expected it to be this filled. Dear guests, I assume this is your first time coming to the first tower. Do you need me to recommend our signature dishes for you? The waiter was obviously very friendly, and he took the lead in introducing them after seeing the approving appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing the waiter's enthusiasm, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also let much more comfortable with this waiter. Then we will trouble you with finding some dishes for us from the first tower. We are 8 people, please decide for us. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. With pleasure, the waiter nodded. Please wait for a moment, and the wine will be delivered. After the waiter left, Zhang Yunfeng smiled and said, although I don't know much about this first tower, the waiter is very clever and friendly. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. In my opinion, the owner must have spent a lot of time on training the waiter. I also think that this restaurant is elegantly furnished, there is no lack of luxury and everything you could ever want from a restaurant can be found here. Dong Fangyu sighed. However, while they were looking at the layout of the first tower, they did not know that someone on the second floor were looking at them. Second brother, do you see those two great beauties in the lobby? In the middle a teenager around the age of 17 was saying with excitement as his eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Third brother, although the beauties of the Qing dynasty are quite a few, can they really be considered great beauties? Opposite the teenager, a man around 19, wearing a green robe was looking at him with a bored expression. Nangong Yujin's face had an expression of excitement. Second brother, I am telling the truth, if you don't believe me then take a look. Seeing that Nangong Yujin was so serious, Nangong Xiujie looked towards the lobby of the first tower. Just with this one look he could no longer believe his eyes. When did two such beautiful women come to our imperial capital? I did not get any news about this. Nangan Xiujie's eyes sparkled with a dazzling light as he coveted the woman below. So beautiful it was simply otherworldly. Second brother, that woman with the hibiscus-colored dress is so warm and affectionate, the tenderness is like water, it is truly the best among the best. Nangong Yujin's word revealed a strong interest, this woman was so delicate and beautiful she was out of this realm. It was really the first time they saw a woman like this. Nangong Xiujie looked at the hibiscus-dressed woman, but then his eyes fell on the white-dressed woman. He could not help but think that she was the real beauty of the two. Both appearance and temperament were one of a kind, especially since the smile had completely caught his heart. This kind of rare beauty, he would never let her go, that was not the style of Nangong Xiujie. I think the white-dressed woman is more moving, Nangong Xiujie rubbed his chin as he said, his eyes sparkled with excitement. He had not been this excited for a long time already. Listening to the words of Nangong Xiujie, Nangong Yun also smiled. It seemed as if his second brother understood his thoughts. In this case, isn't that great for the two of us? Nangong Xiujie nodded, it is indeed good. After waiting for some time, the wine they had ordered arrived. Looking at the delicious wine in front of them, everyone were eager to get their dishes. This wine has a pretty color, the color and the fragrance is both superior, I just don't know how it tastes. Let's try it. Xia Jiqing smiled. Everyone also tasted a bit. After tasting it they could not help but sigh, sure enough this was the Fist Tower, the taste was really amazing. This taste is really good, Bai Junyu smiled, the wine from this big dynasty was truly special. At the same time, the conversation from all the others entered their ears. I hear that one of the 3 colleges were deliberately made fun of at the entrance of Lingyin College. Later the team left Lingyin College directly, did you know of this? Left? I didn't hear about this, but if they really left, can the college tournament continue? I don't understand why Lingyin College would do this, it's a bit too much, the man shook his head. Lingyin College was always very important in their minds, the status was very high, but this kind of move was simply shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know, but the college has lost twice in succession. It is normal to be ridiculed. The strength of Lingyin College is the highest. Bai Junyu changed his mind. Originally I wanted to see the strength of Lingyin College, but now I have no interest in them at all. He had also respected the achievements of Lingyin College over the years, and was humble to learn from them. Although Lingyin College couldn't judge right from wrong and relied on the Qing dynasty, at least Lingyin College had some very good cultivators. However, when they showed this kind of attitude today, it proved that they had already fallen. Lingyin College has been attached to the royal family of the Qing dynasty for quite some years now. It is normal that it is filled with high-ranked people. Gong Shaoqing slowly said, and there was a bit of disdain in his eyes. A talented gentleman was obviously well liked, but a person with strength but a narrow mind was simply just a villain. It was impossible for them to admire the strength of Lingyin College now. While they were eating, they listened to the laughter and talks of the people around them. All kinds of news were being discussed, but most of it was useless for them. At the same time, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin slowly descended from the second floor. Their heads were held high and they walked with elegance. A folding fan was held in the hands, showing that they were graceful. Hey, isn't that the second Prince Nangong Xiujie and the third Prince Nangong Yujin? This first tower restaurant is really excellent. I heard that the royal family wanted to recruit their chef. They came to the first tower to recruit the chef, but why would the chef not go with them? Instead, the princes often come here to eat instead, especially the second and third prince are regular customers. Where are the two princes going? They are heading towards the lobby. Do they know someone who is sitting in the lobby today? The eyes of everyone turned somewhat strange. If it was someone that knew the two princes, then their identities could not be normal. How could they eat in the lobby? Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin had a smug and confident smile on their faces. As princes, they were the center of attention no matter where they went. With the words of these people, things were likely to go their way now. Listening to the conversation of the other customers, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but look at Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin. Not for any other reason but because Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were both students of Lingyin College. The strength is outstanding and they would likely be their opponents in the tournament. After a slight glance, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to eating their food. After all, they would not be able to really understand these people from just a glance. After all, they just wanted to be able to recognize them. As for the college tournament, it was impossible to do anything to them as they were from Kanglin College. The president would not allow it since they still needed the college to accept the tournament. However, when they turned around, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin had stopped at their table. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at one another. It was quite difficult to guess what was going on. The news about their departure earlier, could it be that they already knew of their identities? However, the words that Nangong Xiujie said made them understand that it was purely them who thought that they knew their identity. Pretty girls, why not come with us to the palace to have a deep conversation? Nangong Xiujie's voice was warm and his lips were curled into a faint smile. The expression was one of a polite young master. However, when his voice fell, his eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and it was as if Gong Shaoqing and the other men were not present at all. This made all of them understand, Nangong Xiujie was not polite, he was being arrogant. What if we don't want to? Xia Jiqing's voice was cold. The attitude of Nangong Xiujie was very unpleasant. Gong Shaoqing and the other three men looked at one another. They instantly understood that they were looking for Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue. Thinking about it, Gong Shaoqing and the others were somewhat helpless. They belonged to the special enrollment class of the Kanglin College, but these two women were the most attractive ones they had ever seen. At first, Lu Qinyue was hailed as the #1 beauty of the academy, attracting all male cultivators to pursue her. Many even joined the academy for the sake of seeing her. Since Bailey Hongzhuang arrived, the situation had not become better, in fact, it had just become more intense. Because now half the cultivators were after Lu Qinyue and the other half were after Bailey Hongzhuang. Even though these guys had been with Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue for a long time, they still found them pleasing to the eye. The two of them were naturally the most eye-catching, and now the two princes had obviously come for the sake of them. Nangong Xiujie heard the coldness in Xia Jiqing's words and his eyes changed slightly. He had lived for many years and had found many girls throughout the years, but he had never been treated like this by a woman before. On the contrary, many women wanted to marry him, however he wasn't interested. The smile on Nangong Xiujie's face did not change because of Xia Jiqing's words. Instead he said, I am Nangong Xiujie, the second prince of the Qing dynasty. I am very happy to have met you. At the same time Nangong Yujin also went to the side of Lu Qingyue. I have seen many beautiful, peerless, and independent people in my life, both in this city but also the rest of the country, but there are no women as beautiful as you. Nangong Yujin did not hide his praise. A woman such as this one, it was really the first time he ever saw one. Lu Qingyue was unaccustomed to such a scene. Although many admired her, no one had ever been so direct before. She was unsure of how to respond for quite a while. Looking at the flustered face of Lu Qingyue, Nangong Yujin was even happier. This beautiful woman was so pure, just a few sentences and she was already shy. Nangong Xiujie looked at his younger brother. The eloquence of his third brother was truly magnificent, just a few words and he had already grasped the heart of the lady. The people in the restaurant instantly understood what was going on, and I could not help but look curiously at them. I just knew the two princes wouldn't have known someone from the lobby. It turned out that it was just a drunkard who was guessing before. I noticed that the two girls look stunning, but with their temperament they cannot be ordinary people. It doesn't matter who they are, now the two princes has come out they are going to be taken away. The people shook their heads. They felt that these women would definitely follow the princes. Who wouldn't want to marry a prince? However, although the strength of these two princes was very outstanding, they were lustful people. Almost every outstanding woman within the capital had been picked up by them. These two women were truly pitiful. Girl, I don't know what to call you. Nangong Xiujie's eyes landed on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. Before looking from far away he had felt that she was very outstanding. Now that he was next to her he found her bright and moving. The exquisite and beautiful face had not the slightest imperfection, especially the temperament and style, the faint scent she carried. She was not comparable to any other woman. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stood up, although she did not care too much about the purpose of Nangong Xiujie, but the other party was still the Qing dynasty's second prince. Since they had come to the Qing dynasty, naturally they had to give him some face. Bailey Hongzhuang. Nangong Xiujie whispered her name before his lips widened slightly. What a good name! Not only is the meaning wonderful, the sound is also pleasing to the ear. Thank you for your praise, second prince, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. However, when the smile of Bailey Hongzhuang fell into the eyes of Nangong Xiujie, he became obsessed. She was already the most beautiful, but the smile made it even more so. On the other hand, Dongfang Yu and the others looked at each other. It seemed that this had nothing to do with them at all. This Qing dynasty is a big country. Although the prince's abilities are great, they are still just greedy for beautiful women. Bai Junyu frowned. The other party's actions clearly showed that they did not put them in their eyes. The actions was truly disgusting. Gong Shaoqing, Lu Qingyue is obviously not good at dealing with this situation. Do you want to help her? Dongfang Yu looked at Gong Shaoqing. He found it really unbearable. Everyone knew that Lu Qinyue's heart was set on Gong Shaoqing. How could he allow for these brothers to steal her away? Gong Shaoqing's gaze was cold. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were also uninviting. However, the gaze of Gong Shaoqing was on Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue were two very different women. Bailey Hongzhuang was not as delicate as Lu Qinyue. On the contrary, she was independent, strong, unique and unafraid. He believed that she would not let them off easily. There are many good delicacies and wines in our palace. I don't know if you would be interested. Nangong Xiujie's eyes were filled with a lusting light. If he managed to get Bailey Hongzhuang in his hands, he was sure that many people would be full of envy towards him. Seeing that Nangong Xiujie did not even try to hide his intentions with his speech, the disgust in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes deepened. She really had no good feeling towards the royal family. Whether it was the surname Xianyuan or Nangong, all of them were disgusting. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into an enchanting smile, her pair of phoenix eyes were sparkling like the spring river. Nangong Xiujie's heart trembled. Such a beautiful person, every smile was simply too fascinating. However, the words of Bailey Hongzhuang was something he had not expected. "Thank you, second prince, but I have already eaten." The simple and honest words were impossible to refute. The dishes on the table were almost all eaten and Bailey Hongzhuang was likely already full. However, everyone knew it was just an excuse. How could she answer so seriously? Nangong Xiujie's heart was puzzled. Did this beauty not understand what he meant? "Bailey girl, come with me back to my palace. Taking a walk in my garden after a meal is also good," Nangong Xiujie tried asked again. "Oh." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened slightly. "If you ask me, young master, then I would have to disagree. I am already married." Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes slightly, she was innocent and pure. This guy directly tore faces with them, but when someone was acting like this, it was better to play tricks on them. She would like to see how he could continue to reply. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.